Hey guys, I'm back out on the campus trails and I wanted to show you some birch trees. So here we've got a white birch with the white bark, and here we have a yellow birch with this sort of golden bark. If you look closely though, the bark is also much finer. The strips on it come off in much lighter strips. With the birch bark, it's a much thicker, more paper-like bark. Comes off in larger pieces. Please don't peel bark off of live trees. But this is the bark at the bottom of the tree on the more mature branches. When we start looking at the smaller branches, they're just black. They don't get this colored bark until they get much, much older. So when you get a birch sapling, it's really hard to tell that it's a birch just by the bark, because the bark is on the adult trees and not on just the saplings. So I've got myself up on a rock to show you that. I'm gonna get down and keep going on our walk here because I found a bunch of other cool things on this trail. We've got a ton of maples along the campus trails. Here is a sugar maple. So sugar maples have smooth sinuses. So this sinus, this part in here, has a round shape to it, a smooth sinus. And the teeth, like it's all smooth all the way around. That's a sugar maple. As opposed to, this is the red maple, but we're starting to lose the leaves already. The red maple has sharp sinuses and sharp pointy teeth the whole way around. This one's been eaten a bit, so it's harder to see. I'll find another red maple as we go. I'm sure there's more. Oh, my allergies are bothering me this fall. We're on the Siniika Trail just outside of the campus. Oh, here's another red maple. I can tell because it's got sharp, pointy teeth and sharp, pointy sinuses. Red maple. Oh, and right beside it we have a red oak. So they have longer leaves. We have a couple different kinds of oaks in Ontario. Red oak's the most common in North Bay. We also have some bur oaks. The red oaks, if you can see close up, have these little sharp burrs on the ends of the teeth. Those are the red oaks. The bur oaks have a rounder sort of leaf. They're called bur oaks not because the leaves are burry, but because the acorns are burry. Is where the bur oak gets its name. Every oak has a slightly different acorn. You can identify the species by the acorns. And just like every pine tree, every conifer tree has a slightly different cone. You can ID conifer trees by their cones. The seeds of plants are vastly different from each other. I think they have episodes of CSI about that. IDing plants by the pollen and the seeds. This tree has strippy bark, kind of like a eastern white cedar, but it's not an eastern white cedar. It's a deciduous broadleaf tree, and it's actually an ironwood. This one's really tall and the leaves are really high up, so you can't see the leaves, but I know because of this strippy bark that it's an ironwood. We're kind of at the northern limit for ironwoods in North Bay. If you're in southern Ontario, you might have bigger ones than we have. They don't get super huge here because we're kind of at the limit of their habitat. I'm seeing all these really great conifer trees that I want to show you, but that was last lesson. This lesson is broadleaf trees. But maybe you guys remember how many needles a white pine has. WHITE, 5 needles in a white pine. And here's our balsam fir again. They, like I said, they're weeds. They grow everywhere. I love this big open spot on the trails. It has a bunch of really old red oak trees. Big old red oak trees. Here's a red maple. That's not why they're called red maple. They're called red maple because this stem is red. And you can see on maples, this stem is called a petiole. It's longer than the leaf. If I fold that over, maples typically have long petioles, not always. But so do aspens. And I'm gonna let you look up at the sky. Can you see those round leaves trembling in the wind? Aspens have long petioles, long leaf stem stalks, which allows them to tremble in the wind like that, much more than other trees would. So these are aspens. We have trembling aspens and large tooth aspens. These ones are large tooth, but the name stays. So if you're trying to ideal aspen, if you fold over the leaf and the petiole is longer than the leaf, you might have an aspen. Whew, climbing uphill. So now I'm on where the Siniika Trail and the ski trail meet. So the trail's a lot wider than it was a minute ago because the ski team uses this trail. And one of the perks of going to Nipissing is that if you like cross-country skiing, we have a free cross-country ski trail system that is amazing. It's nationally up to standards so the team can practice. Oh, there used to be a little sapling here that I like to stop and look at. Here we go. There's, instead of one sapling, there's a ton of them now. So this right here is a little baby tree, and it's a white birch, but it's hard to tell because it's too small. It doesn't have the white bark yet. So we count the leaf veins. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fewer than 9 white birch is a nice little trick that works when it's so young you can't tell by the bark. White birch also are one of the first succession trees. When you have a big sunny open air like this, white birch are one of the first trees to pop up in that sunny spot. Yellow birch, they like a little bit of shade. They're shelter wood trees. So you're more likely to find them in wetter, darker forests that have little pockets of sun, not in big open spots like this. There's a nice big white birch. So right here, I've got a little striped maple sapling. So if you can see, the bark is actually quite stripy. And the leaves look like sort of goose feet. This is a striped maple because it's striped bark. Dave Hackett always calls this one a moose maple. I don't know why, maybe because this, instead of not a goose foot, looks like a moose foot. Or maybe moose like to eat them. I'm not quite sure where they got the name moose maple. But that's what Dave always calls them, and that's not an uncommon name. But striped maple is a more common name. So it doesn't have those 2 bottom lobes at all. It's just got the 3 lobes, and it's got lots of tiny, tiny little teeth, and it's got a lot of texture on the leaf. Striped maple. They're an understory tree, so they also don't grow very large. And they have giant leaves because they're growing in the understory of the taller trees. So they need really big leaves to catch the available sunlight in the understory. So I'm going to stop again to look at, just to compare, a sugar maple leaf, right? 5 lobes, round, smooth sinuses. That's our typical leaf. And I'm going to stop down here I've got a little sapling, and this is a white elm. The elms have hairs on them. I don't know if you guys can hear that. The surface of the white elm is very rough. They've got double tooth leaf margins that are very sharp. I like to call this the great white elm because it's like a shark. Because it's got shark teeth and it's got shark skin. The elm tree. The white elm in Ontario. I don't think we have slippery elm. Maybe if you're right on Lake Ontario you might find, but it's a Carolinian species. So you don't usually find it in the Great Lakes St. Lawrence lowlands. We're in North Bay in the Great Lakes St. Lawrence lowland forest. We're at the northern edge of it, but just north of us you start into the boreal forest. So the fact that we have maples, that's Great Lakes St. Lawrence. Once you start to lose your maple trees, you're getting up into the conifer forest. Here we have a basswood. Basswood has big round leaves and they're asymmetric on the base. So you can see here one lobe is a little bit deeper than the other lobe usually, not always. This one, that's a classic one right there. One lobe is higher than the other one. Basswoods are pretty common just south of us. We're again right at their northern limit, so we do have some big basswoods around, but they're not quite as common as the maples and the oaks and the birches. When I started teaching this course, this was a very healthy white elm. And I think when they built the ski trail, they cut its root system because it's been slowly dying every year, a little bit worse. So I've got an ash sapling here. I'm going to take off one of the leaves because this is a compound leaf. Ta-da! Each one of these leaves, this is a leaflet. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a bit leaflets. So if we look at this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leaflets on one leaf. And you can see the leaves are opposite each other. So there's 2 here, and then down here there's 2 here. Ashes and maples are 2 of the only trees in the North Bay area that have that opposite pattern. So here's a sugar maple. 2 leaves opposite, 2 leaves opposite, 2 leaves opposite. That's different than a basswood where they're alternating. There's a bud there, and a bud there, and a bud there. Sorry. Alternating. Here's a little white birch. Oh wait, no. More than 9 leaf pairs, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Way more than 9. This is a yellow birch. But you can see it's alternating again. Those leaf pairs are alternating. Oh, something else about yellow birch that I might not have told you guys. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But yellow birch tastes amazing. It's a lovely wintergreen taste. So if you don't know what the tree you're IDing is, if you're willing to, well, you don't actually have to eat it. You can scratch and sniff it too. I'm scratching it. Yeah, also smells like wintergreen. All right, I think that's enough for today. I will see you guys later.